Bro, just imagine going back in time, drafting Malik Nabers, Lad McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Terry McLaurin. You got all these dudes on your team. You got all of them after the fourth round. They all finished as top 12 guys. Let's try to do that this season, man. This is how you win leagues. You bet against the market, right? You bet on dudes who are being drafted later, and you're making a bet that they are going to outperform the market, what the market thinks about them. So in this video, we're going to try to find the next value wide receivers. These are dudes that are drafted after the fourth round. And the first guy on this list is Rashee Rice, currently going as the wide receiver 19. So that's like at the 3-4 turn, right? He's going sometimes as early as like beginning of the third round in some sharp leagues. But fourth round for now, right? He could definitely climb. He could end up being like a second rounder by the time the draft season comes around. But for now, still kind of like a fringe fourth round pick. So that's why I include him on this list. He is an absolutely fantastic wide receiver. He's Pat Mahomes' number one wide receiver, obviously. Now, before his injury last season, which I'm sure you guys know, he does tear a couple of ligaments in his knee. He was a top 5 wide receiver, dude. So he was, in points per game, he was looking like a league winner, dude. Top 5 points per game. He had 2 touchdowns in 3 games, 32% target shares, averaging 17.6 fantasy points per game. Third in target share, man. So the dude was an absolute league winner. It was looking like you got an absolute steal in about like the 4th or 5th round. And then as we know, Pat Mahomes dolphin dives into this man's knee, fucking takes him out. So he's out for the season. I think it's probably a big reason why the Chiefs did not actually win the Super Bowl is probably that they lacked that dude, right? That alpha wide receiver. I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, Mike Clay projects him as the wide receiver 16. So about 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. So he has him ranked, kind of outside of the top 12. We don't really know how he's going to be after that injury. We don't know if his target share is going to remain high, but I think he's going to break both of those numbers. I think he's going to break 1,100 yards easily. I think he's going to break 7 touchdowns with complete ease. I just imagine him. I think he can honestly be a league leader, at least in the top 5, in like end zone targets, because I don't think Travis Kelce is going to be that same end zone target. Xavier Worthy is not really an end zone threat. He's more of like a close to the line of scrimmage gadget type wide receiver, end arounds and stuff like that. So I think Rashee Rice actually emerges as like this end zone threat, possession receiver, high target volume, high touchdown equity. So that's why I think this dude can far outplay his 3rd round, 4th round value at the moment. So I think like one of the concerns about him though is that the wide receiver room is not as empty as it usually is for the Chiefs. It's usually like whoever emerges is super valuable for them. I mean, they do have Hollywood Brown. They have Xavier Worthy. They have, this is going to sound fucking funny, but Noah Gray and Travis Kelce make up like one good tight end in my opinion. So yeah, man, Rashee Rice, he's kind of like the easy pickings, the low hanging fruit on this list. So a lot of people are getting smart about him. He's going to climb up drafts, but for now, he fits that category of a league-winning type wide receiver. And the next dude on this list, also a little bit controversial. These are like the higher drafted players. It's Garrett Wilson. And hear me out first before you guys fucking go down in the comments and call me gay. He's a 3rd round pick at the moment, so he kind of misses our criteria. He's being drafted higher than, a 4th round pick. But I think he still represents a potential league winner. Let me paint the picture. So he's going wide receiver 16, right? So that's 3rd round, but wide receiver 16, I think that still constitutes someone where you draft him outside of the top 12, outside of the top 15 even. And I think he can end the season as potentially a top 5 guy. Let me paint the picture. As I mentioned, hyper talented, check. Clear wide receiver 1 for the Jets, check. Super shallow depth chart. Can you even name another wide receiver on the Jets? Like fucking my Uncle Muhammad? I don't even know who's Alan Lazar is still there, I guess. And a new offensive environment, hopefully check. We have Tanner Engstrand, new offensive coordinator for the Jets. Used to be the passing game coordinator for the Lions. I talked about Justin Fields in my last video where I talked about quarterbacks you should be targeting. You guys should go head over and check that out. But I think that this offense is going to be better. So if he's coming from the Lions, that Lions passing game was really good. They made Jared Goff look like an all-pro quarterback. I think he can do the same for a guy like Justin Fields, who's a lot more of a dynamic player than Jared Goff. Look, he's not the pocket passer, don't get me wrong. But just purely off of dynamism, off of dynamicness, Justin Fields can run it. He can throw well enough. I mean, he did help DJ Moore have the best season of his career back when he was on the Bears. So I think Justin Fields, we like to shit on him. He's not the friendliest quarterback to wide receivers, I'm not going to lie. But dude, he just has to be better than Zach Wilson. And Since entering the league, Garrett Wilson actually ranks first in games played, so 51. The dude never misses games. Third in targets, so hyper volume. He's a clear alpha dude, and that's with Devontae Adams and Rodgers there last year. Eighth in receptions, so 279 receptions. 10th in receiving yards and 19th in yards per game. I think he can improve on the receiving yards and yards per game element, where he just has to get like better targets, down the field targets. He needs to be in a better passing environment, which I think hopefully they'll have. So yeah, man, Garrett Wilson. And Aaron Glenn also said recently about Garrett Wilson that give him the ball as much as possible. Give him the ball as much as possible. That's it. So I think they're going to build their offense around Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields and Breece Hall. And then they're going to have some of the other running backs coming out to spell Breece Hall as like your bruiser type running backs. But Garrett Wilson is in store for alpha volume. And yeah, man, he just basically has to be... Justin Fields basically just has to be better than Daniel Jones, right? Malik Nabers finished the season as wide receiver 6 with Daniel Jones throwing him the ball, and then Tommy DeVito and my fucking Uncle Mahmoudi. So, you know, if Nabers can finish the season as wide receiver 6 with having no quarterback, I think Justin Fields can definitely be an improvement. Yeah, so that's Garrett Wilson, somebody that, although he's a little bit expensive, I do think he can outplay his ADP for sure. But now let's look at some later targets, man. Let's look past round 3, round 4. These dudes are a little bit deeper, obviously lower chance of them hitting, but I still think they represent that potential, right? The maybe this is the next Lad McConkey, maybe this is the next Brian Thomas Jr., two dudes that were both going outside of like, you know, round 8. And the first dart throw on this list is going to be Tetairoa McMillan. He is currently going as wide receiver 37, about round 7 or 8 or so. Now that's value town to me, dude. The dude was drafted 8th in the draft, man, 8th overall. So he was like the first real wide receiver off the board. I know Travis Hunter was drafted 2nd, but he joins a team where currently the best wide receiver is Adam Thielen. Now, I don't know if you guys know, Adam Thielen's kids have kids. He's so fucking old, dude, that his kids have kids, and those kids are having kids soon. They're expecting children. So the man is at least 73 years old, and he's their best wide receiver. So I fully expect Tetairoa, Jesus, to take over as the alpha wide receiver for this team. You have a couple of auxiliary pieces as well. Xavier Legette is still there. Hunter Renfrow, fucking fresh from Office Depot, dude, working a double shift. They picked him up. He's back. So there are some decent auxiliary pieces, but that's what you want, right? You want decent enough pieces to keep defenses honest. You don't want Tetairoa to get double teamed on every single play. So he's a big-bodied, smooth route-running wide receiver, highly productive in college. He's a classic X, and if they do decide to move him to the slot, he will absolutely terrorize people. He'll be a nightmare as a big slot. Just such a good, smooth route runner, big, oversized, can make contested catches, gets touchdowns. He's the perfect type of alpha wide receiver that Bryce Young really needs, in my opinion. So every year we have rookie wide receivers pop off, dude. Last season it was McConkey, Nabers, Brian Thomas. What did they all have in common, man? They had the talent, they had draft capital, and they had a very thin depth chart. This motherfucker, Tet McMillan, I don't know why I'm calling him a motherfucker. He's a nice man. He has all three, right? Talent, draft capital, thin depth chart. One of the thinnest depth charts. And Bryce Young, dude. Let's talk about Bryce Young, man. 21.2 fantasy points per game from week 11 on last season. So he was straight cooking. Now, keep in mind, dude, do you remember the rhetoric or the way we were talking about Bryce Young just a year ago, dude? Bust, number 1 overall pick yet again is a bust. Or 2 years ago, sorry. CJ Stroud was the better quarterback. He should have went number 1. Bryce Young is undersized. He's trash. He never once paid for drugs, dude. Not once. So fucking Bryce Young became him, dude. He paid for drugs finally. So he turned a corner, dude. I expect that to continue. I expect him to continue to build on that. He's in a pretty good offensive environment. He's got Chuba Hubbard, a very good running back, dude. He's got Tet McMillan now, like a very good alpha wide receiver. I expect him to just build on how he ended last season. I think in the 7th round, dude, and if he falls to the 8th round, 9th round, you're essentially taking candy from a baby, dude. If your dumb league mates let Tet McMillan fall past the 7th round or the 8th round even, dude, take their money, man. Take their money, walk away, fucking shoot me a DM, tell me if there's an extra league spot in your league, man, because I'm trying to get in on that, you know. So next star throw on this list is Jauan Jennings, currently going wide receiver 41 in the 8th and 9th round. Now, Jauan Jennings was actually a very good wide receiver last year. So let's talk about some of his stats, man. So 83.1 PFF grade, 8th in yards per route run, and 6th in targets per route run. Those are two highly predictive stats that predict fantasy points, right? They're very sticky where they translate over seasons, right? And in 6 games where it was Ricky Pearsall, Jauan Jennings, Kittle, and Brock Purdy all on the field together, Jauan Jennings had a 31.3% first read target share. So with everyone, minus Brandon Ayuk, 31.3% first read, dude. That's above Kittle. That's above Ricky Pearsall. So the dude was like their alpha wide receiver, man. Again, as I mentioned, that's without Ayuk. But, you know, Ayuk, we don't know if he's coming back, dude. He's coming off of an ACL injury, right? We don't know if he's going to be healthy, you know, to start the season. He could end up just losing his spot. Maybe he loses some of his speed. Maybe he's not as good of a route runner anymore. And he just has a slow return from that injury. So Jauan Jennings can easily end up just being the alpha guy for them from the gate and then through the whole season. So one more thing is that he charts really well in both horizontal and vertical breaking routes in the same realm. So when you chart him, he's around like a Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, and Justin Jefferson in terms of being good at both horizontal and vertical routes. So the dude's like a big-bodied alpha type wide receiver, like your X wide receiver, I guess you could say. And he runs all types of routes really well, right? He doesn't have many weaknesses in his game. So I think this could be a dominant year for the 49ers in general. They have the #1 easiest strength of schedule, absolute #1 easiest. So I imagine them just kind of dominating this year. Like, I know people are kind of down on the Niners. You know, they lose a lot of defensive pieces. And, you know, I guess it's just like people are tired of the Niners just not getting it done for so long. But I think they're just going to be right back there in that conversation, you know, potentially even winning the NFC West. So he's somebody that, you know, I'm taking him as, you know, as much as I can because he's being drafted so late, dude. 8th and 9th round, like perfect type of wide receiver that I think could just outperform where you're drafting them easily. And the last name is someone that I try to talk about this guy every chance I get. But before I get into it, I just want to ask you guys, man, if you enjoyed this video, if you like this stuff, you want to support the work that I'm doing, you know, hit your boy up with a like, man. It'd be the best way to show support. Helps the video reach more people and hit that algorithm. And then, you know, while you're down there, if you do want to subscribe to catch more of these, I would be eternally grateful. And let's get back to the video. And the next player on this list is Josh Downs, dude. I talk about this man as much as I can. I talk about him with my neighbors, with my cat. He's the wide receiver 45, 10th round. It's a federal offense, dude. The fact that this man is going in the 10th round is a federal offense. We need to send ICE to all the fantasy experts that are ranking these guys. And we need them to get deported, dude, because the fact that Josh Downs is going in the 10th round is insane. 13.1 fantasy points per game with pretty low volume. So he only had 107 targets last season. He does miss 3 games, but he was 4th in targets per route run, 18th in yards per route run. So I think he can improve on that. And he was the clear best wide receiver for the Colts. Like, I know Michael Pittman out-targeted him. Michael Pittman is more of your like possession receiver. He just like soaks up targets, but Michael Pittman doesn't do much with them, right? He's like a big body dude that just essentially falls when he gets the ball instantly, or he gets touchdowns. That's about all Michael Pittman does, and he doesn't even get that many touchdowns. So Josh Downs kind of like your more versatile, speedy slot receiver for them, and they really use him, dude, in a really good way, a way that you love in a slot receiver. He's not just a dude who sticks by the line of scrimmage, gets like, you know, dink and dunk passes. He's like a deep slot. He performed really well with both Richardson and Flacco. Actually better with Richardson, strangely enough. Like, they had a really good rapport and really good synergy. And I think whether it's Richardson or Daniel Jones stepping in, I think either way, it's going to be great for Josh Downs. I think it might even be better with Daniel Jones coming in. So that's why I'm really excited about Josh Downs. He's just somebody where signs are pointing up, right? And I want to leave you guys with this last thing. This is from Matt Harmon, dude. Matt Harmon is the wide receiver whisperer. If you don't know him, you got to be more serious, man. So he created a reception perception profile of Josh Downs, published it on his site, which you can go subscribe to. I think you have to pay like a subscription. You get access to all of it, where he just charts wide receivers and how good they are at certain routes based on their success rates. And Josh Downs has a 76.7 success rate versus man, putting him in the 90th percentile, 86% success rate versus zone. That's the 92nd percentile, and 77.1 success versus press. That's the 82nd percentile. So he's 80th percentile or higher in the 90s in the other two categories, in all the routes that we care about, right? Or in all the coverages. So Josh Downs is just a fantastic, underrated wide receiver for a team where I do think can be like decent, right? I think their offense can be okay. I think they will be leaning on Jonathan Taylor, don't get me wrong. But I think he could be good, man. I think he could be a solid piece, maybe even the alpha wide receiver for a team that's trying to get better, trying to figure out their quarterback situation. And I think, there's a lot for him to improve on, right? Because if he's going in the 10th round, like, what are you really wasting there, right? Well, why not take the dart throw and see? I think he can definitely outperform wide receiver 45. I think he can end up being like a top 20, even a top 15 guy, man. That's how confident I am in a guy like Josh Downs. So that's the list, man. Those are 5 wide receivers that I love, that I'm going to be drafting, that you can call them league winners. You can call them ADP value smashers, whatever you want to call them, man. But either way, these are guys that I'm looking to draft to try to get that next Malik Nabers, Brian Thomas, Ladd McConkey. I hope you guys like this video, man. As I mentioned, if you did like it, a like is the best way to show support. Subscribe if you do want to catch more of this stuff if you're new here, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.